We've all found ourselves in social situations where we feel like we're playing chess with other people's intentions. One moment you're having a casual conversation, and the next thing you know, you're caught in an invisible power struggle that leaves you feeling manipulated, outsmarted, or even humiliated. Now, I don't normally cover psychological tactics twice in a row, but the fascinating dynamics of human game theory is just too compelling an opportunity to discuss how you can navigate the complex chess match that happens in everyday human interactions. So in this video, you're going to see firsthand some of the most common strategies people use in social games, and you're also going to learn how to master these dynamics so that you can walk away from any social encounter with your dignity intact and maybe even gain the upper hand. So first off, to understand social game theory, you have to recognize what's happening beneath the surface before it's too late. Now, typically, a person will reveal their strategic intentions early on with subtle cues in their body language and word choice, kind of like this. "So what do you think about my proposal?" Followed immediately by "everyone else on the team already loves it." In this case, they're clearly setting up a social pressure trap. Otherwise, why would they mention what everyone else thinks before you've had a chance to form your own opinion? They make their strategy even clearer a moment later when they imply you'd be the odd one out for disagreeing. Just watch. You're not going to be the only one with concerns, are you? Wouldn't that be a bit awkward? The point here is that even when they're being subtle, people will often telegraph their game moves before they actually make them. So if you hear someone say something like, "Just between us, what do you really think about Sarah's performance?" Be prepared. That person is likely setting up an alliance against someone else, and you need to be very careful what you say next, not because you necessarily have an opinion about Sarah, but because a social strategist may be trying to recruit you into their game without your conscious consent. And the first way that this often happens is called the false consensus trap. Here's what it looks like. "So you're saying you don't care about team morale? The rest of us want to move forward. Is that something you're against? So you're saying that anyone who disagrees with this approach is just not seeing the big picture? Let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should all just follow your lead without question?" The general pattern here is that someone says, "So you're saying," and then proceeds to frame your position as extreme or unreasonable. I won't spend too long here because it's very easy to spot, and it's rather simple to avoid by saying, "Well, actually what I'm saying is," and then restate your actual position clearly and moderately. But there's a much sneakier way that people may manipulate the social game, and that's through what I call the presumptive close. Basically, it's when someone's words presume you've already agreed to something when you haven't. In sales, they call this assuming the sale, like when a realtor says, "So would you like to make an offer today, or would you prefer to think about it overnight?" Before you've even decided you like the house. Now, with a major purchase, you're likely to notice this and say, "Hold on, I haven't decided if I'm interested yet." But it's very likely that this is happening to you in social situations all the time and you don't even notice. Here's how it might look. Why would you let them treat you that way? Embedded in the question, "Why would you let them treat you that way?" are several important presuppositions. Namely, 1, that someone is mistreating you, and 2, that you're allowing it to happen. Now, the trap here would be to answer the question directly, and many of us fall into it in similar situations. Then we start defending positions we don't even hold just out of conversational habit. Instead, you need to identify that hidden presupposition and call it out. Here's another example of the presumptive close from a different angle. See if you can spot the hidden presupposition and ask yourself what you might say to respond to it. "But why wouldn't you want to be part of our inner circle?" So what's the hidden presupposition? That there is an exclusive inner circle and that you should want to be in it. And of course, you might question whether such a group exists or if it's even desirable to be part of it. Here's one more example. See if you can spot the hidden presupposition here. So you want to tell your team now, "I don't trust your judgment?" Did you catch it? The presupposition is that disagreeing with your team means you don't trust them. Now, you can't answer that question directly. You have to address that hidden point first. When I break down these examples, it makes it very easy to see these hidden social maneuvers, but in real time, this can be difficult. One simple thing that you can do to make it easier on yourself is to purposely maintain a neutral expression and posture during these interactions. This posture actually helps you to think more clearly because your body is signaling to your brain that everything is okay. You're not being emotionally manipulated. You'll also want to give yourself some time to pause after each loaded question, which is a powerful move in itself. In addition, you're going to want to study up on social frames and reframing techniques because there's clearly a whole level of interaction that is going on beneath the words. Moving along though, the last example contains a small instance of the third social game tactic in this video, which I'm calling the false dichotomy. Take a look. So you want to tell your team now, "I don't trust your judgment?" It's subtle here, but the speaker creates a false choice. Either agree with the team or tell them you don't trust them. By presenting only these two options, it would be easier to just go along with the group. But that would tacitly accept that there are only two choices. That's why the false dichotomy is so effective. People are limiting your perceived options and then moving through them before you have the time to realize there are many more possibilities. You may also have seen people overwhelm you with rapid-fire either slash or scenarios just to pressure you into accepting their framing like this. So either you're with us or against us. Either you care about the project or you don't. Either you're a team player or you're not. It can be easy to get overwhelmed and to lose your footing as you try to navigate these false choices, but with the false dichotomy technique in general, the best policy is to slow down the tempo of conversation and introduce the third, fourth, or fifth options that actually exist. So hopefully, now you're more aware of the false consensus trap, the presumptive close, and of course the false dichotomy. This moves us to the second section of this video, which is how to win at these social games without becoming manipulative yourself. First, do not misrepresent the other person's position even if they're doing it to you. Instead, show the other person that you are truly engaging with their real points, attempt to understand them, and sometimes this means that you have to ask them to clarify so that you can. After you've made an honest attempt to understand them, you need to make sure that they can understand you, which is necessary for gaining social leverage. And to do that, you often have to use concrete examples and visual imagery. For instance, here's a very abstract point without any images. Social dynamics are built on reciprocal patterns of behavior that have evolved over thousands of years of human interaction. Now, maybe you can understand that, but it kind of lacks any emotional impact. But notice how the addition of a concrete example makes that evolutionary history just feel different. Think about how even toddlers understand fairness. If you take their toy, they'll take something of yours. That basic sense of reciprocity is so fundamental that we see it in every human culture on Earth. It's in our DNA. So adding concrete examples, especially ones that people can easily imagine, is a smart move in social games. And lastly, when you're in these situations, oftentimes the best way to gain the upper hand is not by opposing the other person but by gently showing them that they are already aligned with you in some fundamental way. For example, if someone is trying to pressure you into agreeing with a group decision you're unsure about, you might say, "I know we both want what's best for the team. That's why I think it's worth taking the time to consider all angles here. Wouldn't you agree that making the right decision is more important than making a quick one?" You're no longer arguing that their point is wrong. You're showing how you share common ground. You both care about the team's success. And then you don't try to make their position wrong. You show them how you're actually very much in alignment on the things that matter most. People have a strong desire to remain consistent with things they've already said and done, so oftentimes, this becomes one of the few ways to gain leverage with someone who's really committed to their position. You're basically showing them that they don't have to move in order to agree with you. They already do on the fundamental values. If you think I missed something or you just want to discuss these social dynamics further, leave a comment below. I'm actually going to be checking periodically, but I will be most active in the comments for that first hour after the video goes live, which is now 2 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. So hit subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure that you're notified when I am here and chatting. That way you can hop on if you want to discuss anything with me, or if you have a question that you'd like to ask. Hopefully, you found this exploration of social game theory valuable, and I will see you in the next one.